Please raise your hand, say your name, and state your position. And looks like we're all clear. Take it away, Glenn.
Okay. What happened a couple weeks ago, and I kind of alluded to it last week, is the in my federal case that I filed over the false imprisonment and all that stuff in New Mexico, kidnapping, all that stuff. There's a magistrate judge, and the way it's interesting to note that these magistrate judges, what they do is they send you a notice that you're going to get a magistrate judge unless you object, and I don't. Sometimes I object. Sometimes in the past, okay. Sometimes matter of fact, in the past I would always object. I'd say, I don't want a fake wannabe judge. I want a real judge. And because all of these magistrate judges all they can do is recommend, and then the real judge has to decide whether he's going to accept it or not. And but there was actually a magistrate judge in Dallas one time that actually took an interest in my case, and so that told me that not all of them are, even though they have to have their stuff approved, they're not necessarily bad. So I figured I would. I haven't objected since then, although in the last case, the magistrate judge ruled against me, and then and O'Connor immediately, agreed with him, and so then I had to go to the Court of Appeal. Anyways, in this case, they had a magistrate judge. Actually, they originally assigned it to Reed O'Connor, but because I was suing him, he had to recuse himself, so they assigned it to a different judge. And each judge has their own magistrate judge they work with. And so this guy that I got, his name is Pittman. And the magistrate judge he works with is Jeffrey Cureton, Cureton. And I've actually worked with that magistrate judge before with a different judge. I can't remember which one, but I remember I worked with him, and he's an asshole. But I didn't object. Anyways, so now that I paid their extortion, it took a while, but I got tired of waiting because, I was filing stuff trying to get them to let the case proceed, and they refused, and so I finally just paid it, and they always wait till after you pay it. Okay, they're just nothing but thieves. Anyways, they filed this findings, conclusions, and recommendations. Okay, so it's not a finding of fact. Matter of fact, we'll go through my response. I'm going to show you my response. We'll go through that, but I want to show you what they filed first. And so this is what they filed: findings, conclusions, and recommendations of the United States Magistrate Judge. On November 18th. I filed a complaint against several defendants in the above style reference case. From the court's research, the instant case is this is the 12th case that I've filed since August 2008. Actually, I think they missed one or two. I'm not sure, but I go through every case in my response, and that's his list of cases. Anyways, court possesses the inherent power to protect the efficient, orderly administrative justice, to command respect to the court's orders, to protect the efficient, orderly administration, to command judgments, procedures, and authority. Included in this inherent power is a power to levy sanctions in response to abusive litigation practices. Sanctions may be appropriate when a pro se litigant has a history of submitting multiple frivolous claims. Pro se litigants have no license to harass others, clog judicial machinery with meritless litigation, and abuse already overloaded court dockets. Abuse already overloaded court dockets. Oh, they're so overloaded, and I'm going to talk about that in my answer. Courts in the Fifth Circuit have cited 10th Circuit advisory that injunctions restricting further filings are appropriate where the litigant's lengthy and abusive history is set forth, and that it is proper for the court to provide guidelines as to what the litigant may do to obtain its permission to file an action, provided the litigant received notice of an opportunity to oppose the court's order before it was implemented. Based on Winningham's history of filing multiple similar cases in the past several years that have, except for this pending case, all been disposed pursuant to the informa pauperis statute, and that's true. That's true. They all got dismissed because of that. We'll go through that. And for the federal rule of civil procedure for failure to comply with court orders, and that's true too. And for failure to prosecute, the undersigned finds and concludes that Winningham's litigation history has risen to the prevalence and level of harassment that existed in cases cited above where sanctions were deemed appropriate. Winningham is hereby warned that sanctions may be imposed for any future abusive litigation practices. Based on the foregoing, the court recommends that Winningham be declared a vexatious litigant, and that the district court warn Winningham by order that monetary sanctions may be imposed for future vexatious litigant. You know, I got to tell you, I can break this off in their ass in such a way they'll fucking regret it big time. But anyways, we'll see what happens. Monetary sanctions may be imposed for future vexatious litigant considered to be abusive and harassing in the nature that Winningham must obtain leave to file a leave of court by filing a motion before he's permitted to file any additional complaints in this district. Under 28 U.S.C., each party to this action has a right to serve and file specific written objections to the U.S. District Court. Well, nobody's been served, okay? So nobody's going to get it. To the U.S. Magistrate Judge's proposed findings, conclusions, recommendations within 14 days after the party's been served with a copy of this document. And so this was, if you notice on the date, it's on the 5th. And we'll see further down, he gives me till the 19th of January, which is 14 days. The U.S. District Judge need only make a de novo determination of the portions of the Magistrate Judge's proposed findings, conclusions, or recommendations which specific objection is timely made. Failure to file by the date specified above a specified written objection to a proposed factual finding or legal conclusion will bar a party, except upon grounds of plain error or manifest injustice, from attacking an appeal on appeal any such proposed factual findings and legal conclusions accepted by the United States District Judge. And he quotes a case modified by statute on other grounds, 28 U.S.C. 636b1, extending the time to file objections to 14 days. Under 28 U.S.C. 636 is hereby ordered that each party is granted until January 19th, 2026 to serve and file written objections to the United States Magistrate Judge's finding, conclusion, recommendations. Is further ordered that if objections are filed and the opposing party chooses to file a response, the response shall be filed within 7 days of the filing date of the objections. It is further ordered that the above styled and numbered action previously referred to the United States Magistrate Judges for finding, conclusion, recommendation being is hereby returned to the docket of the United States District Judge. So he's letting the case proceed. And so that's signed on the 5th of January, and so the 19th, which was last Monday. Anyways, so let's go and look at my response. So this is my response to their vexatious litigant. So remember, that magistrate judge can be there until I object. Okay, so I'm objecting to him being there, period, and to his findings and conclusions. It says here, notice of objection to the fake wannabe judge and his findings and conclusions. let's see, where are we? There we go. So I, GlennWinningham, House of Fern, hereby affirm I have first-hand knowledge of this matter. I'm competent in this matter. I have no first-hand knowledge of a date of birth, but I do remember finishing high school in the year 1975, over 50 years ago. Therefore, I'm well past the age of majority. It's interesting that it fails to be a findings of fact or conclusions of law. Therefore, it has absolutely nothing to do with facts or law. And then I go through the cases. Case 3, that's the first one I filed in this district. In this case in 2008 was over the Pope's minor estate, 31 CFR 363.6. It was dismissed for failure to prosecute because I failed to complete their impecuniosity form to their liking. They dismissed the case for failure to prosecute because I failed to give evidence against myself. I failed to pay their extortion to fabricate evidence of their minor estate, and I failed to have the magic words. Completing your informa pauperis interrogatory or paying your extortion, both provide evidence of the Pope's minor estate. So either way, it's a win-win-win scenario for the Pope's bail priests masquerading as judges. Case 412 CV 638. I filed a lawsuit against FedEx for unlawful termination of compensation for labor contract in Texas courts, and it became case 342-254631-11. Once FedEx was served, FedEx removed it into federal courts, and it became case 412 CV 638. The judge, Terry Meast, exposed himself to be working for the Pope because he was busy fabricating evidence of their minor estate, 31 CFR 363.6, with their forced electronic filing scam, to force a bank account, credit card, disclosure of all or part of a social security number to fabricate evidence of the Pope's minor estate, which has no rights but is property, and put the case under the Pope's Roman law. I failed to have the magic words that they could force me to give up one right to exercise another at the time to use for the Pope's Satanist bail priests masquerading as judges means. Therefore, the Pope's bail priest means dismiss the case because I exercised my right to fail to give evidence against myself by doing their electronic filing scam. Now I file a notice of objection to electronic filing, document number 7 in this case, and it must be magic words because nothing's ever said, and I do not do electronic filing. 413 CV 00576. This case was filed because I was traveling home to Texas from visiting my daughter and grandsons and daughters in Arizona, and Napolitano's Border Patrol physically dragged me, assaulted, into their office for about 30 minutes for telling me I could leave. I was getting harassed at airports and border crossing because of the intelligence bulletin issued by the Texas Department of Public Safety in retaliation for exercising constitutional rights to seek a redress of grievances, which is the topic of this lawsuit. I failed to be an attorney and was doing the best I could at the time. I filed an affidavit of impecuniosity, and the Pope's judge denied the informa pauperis because I exercised my right to fail to give evidence against myself, and I dismissed the case, calling it frivolous in retaliation for having the audacity to think I had rights. The case was refiled in Texas courts and became 352-263-583-13, which was eventually dismissed for failure to prosecute because Janet Napolitano refused to accept service, and there was no address for their U.S. Border Patrol office 10 miles west of Texas, Sierra Blanca, Texas, on Interstate Highway 10. I don't know if anybody's ever been there. It's just a place where they went and put some trailers on the side of the road, and they block off the road, and they make you go through these scanners, and so there's no street address, so there's no way to serve them with anything. Anyways. The electronic filing standing order. The Pope's chief judge, Fitzwater, did a standing order for electronic filing, and then McBride did a standing order that he does not do electronic filing, and every case that I filed went to McBride. And cases 413 CV 0023, 414 CV 00853, 414 CV 00993, 417 CV 00167, and 419 CV 0635 went to McBride. And so this is 413 CV 0023. I filed a lawsuit against Fort Worth Military Police in Texas courts, which was removed to federal courts, and I demanded, I filed it. It was removed into federal court, and I demanded it be remanded back to state court, and McBride remanded it. So that was okay. 414 CV 00853. I had opened a bank account with Wachovia Bank and had it for several years before Wells Fargo Bank bought Wachovia Bank, and then Wells Fargo closed the account because there was no social security number associated with the account. When McBride got it, I provided affidavit of impecuniosity, inserting NA into all the blocks of the informa pauperis interrogatory, and the affidavit saying I had no income because income is corporate profits. My wife fails to be a spouse. I have no employer because I failed to work for the government, etc. And McBride refused it and refused to let the case proceed. McBride dismissed the case for failure to prosecute because I've been out of work and failed to give evidence against myself and failed to pay McBride's extortion to fabricate evidence of their minor estate. I failed to have magic words that they could force me to give up one right to exercise another. Completing their informa pauperis interrogatory or paying their extortion both provide evidence of the Pope's minor estate, so either way it's a win-win-win scenario for the Pope's bail priests masquerading as judges. 414 CV 00993. I sued McBride and several other of the Pope's fake judges for prejudging cases assaulting me with their minor estate, and McBride retaliated by intercepting it and dismissed it. Yeah, he was in the suit and he dismissed it. I mean, talk about a conflict of interest. They're supposed to recuse themselves, and that's a violation of, all sorts of stuff. Anyways, calling it frivolous. 417 CV 00167. On 14th of February 2014, I was at a Republic of Texas Congress, which was raided by the Kerr County Sheriff's Department, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and others because a member of Congress had convened a common law court because of the theft of her home. They pillaged my laptop computer and carrying case, and I have failed to return any of it, and filed a lawsuit, and McBride got it and dismissed the case for failure to prosecute because I had been out of work and failed to give evidence against myself and failed to pay McBride's extortion to fabricate evidence of their minor estate and failed to have the magic words that they could not force me to give up one right to exercise another. 419 CV 00632. On 18th March 2019, the Colleyville Military Police unlawfully arrested me. Assault, which is an assault, kidnapped me, falsely imprisoned me, and I filed a lawsuit, and McBride got it and dismissed it for failure to prosecute because I'd been out of work and failed to give evidence against myself and failed to pay McBride's extortion to fabricate evidence of their minor estate, 31 CFR 363.6, and failed to have the magic words that they could force me to give up one right for exercise another. Case 415 CV 00772. By the way, this response, I sent it to Donald Trump too, by the way, with a copy of that vexatious litigant findings and conclusions. And I put on the envelope attention. I sent it to address it to Donald Trump, and then I put on the envelope, attention, corrupt courts department, corruption in the courts department or something like that. I can't remember, something like that. Anyways, when the cases started to go to O'Connor, then the cases started to go to O'Connor on 14th of February 2014. I was at a Republic of Texas Congress, which was raided by the Kerr County Sheriff's Department. The Texas Department of Public Safety and other, because a member of Congress, so I actually filed 2 cases over that matter, and convened a common law court because of the theft of her home. They stole my laptop computer case and failed to return it, and I filed a lawsuit, and O'Connor got it. O'Connor dismissed the case for failure to prosecute because I'd been out of work and failed to give evidence against myself and failed to pay extortion to fabricate evidence of their minor estate and failed to have the magic words that they could not force me to give up one right to exercise another. Completing their informa pauperis interrogatory or paying your extortion both provide evidence of the Pope's minor estate. Either way, it's a win-win-win scenario for the Pope's bail priests masquerading as judges. Because the Pope's bail priests masquerading as judges in Fort Worth were busy fabricating evidence of their minor estate, slave property, I started to file cases in the Dallas division. The Colleyville police assaulted me for expired registration, which was removed to Fort Worth. So this case, that's what this case is, 319 CV3 being Dallas division. So that got removed into Fort Worth and became 419 CV 632. McBride got it and dismissed it for failure to prosecute because I've been out of work, failed to give evidence against myself, and failed to pay the extortion to fabricate evidence of the minor estate, and failed to have the magic words that they could not force me to give up one right to exercise another. Completing your informal pauperous interrogatory or paying your extortion both provide evidence of the Pope's minor estate. So either way, it's a win-win-win scenario for the Pope's bail priests masquerading as judges. I was assaulted 319 CV 019686. I was assaulted by Lake Worth Military Police in conspiracy with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and it was dismissed by Irma Carrillo Ramirez in conspiracy with Karen Grancholer for failure to prosecute because I'd been out of work, and I failed to give evidence against myself, and I failed to pay McBride's extortion to fabricate evidence of their minor estate, and failed to have the magic words that they could not force me to give up one right to exercise another. And that is actually, those magic words is what Randy Kelton said that he knows people let use it to get out of filling out the interrogatory. Anyways, completing your informal pauperous interrogatory or paying your extortion both provide evidence of the Pope's minor estate. So either way, it's a win-win-win scenario for the Pope's bail priests masquerading as judges. Interesting. It's interesting to note that if you go to the U.S. District Court in Fort Worth, the clerk's office, there's a sign there that says, "We do not accept Federal Reserve notes. You have to go get a money order." Well, you still have to use Federal Reserve notes to get a money order. Anyways, I was subsequently filing criminal complaints into the case, and Irma Carrillo Ramirez ordered me to file a new case and pay the extortion. And that's the case, 322 CV 01752. I filed several lawsuit versions, all of which Ramirez said were too long, and the case was eventually dismissed for failure to prosecute because I've been out of work and failed to give evidence against myself and failed to pay the extortion to fabricate evidence of the minor estate. 31 CFR 363.6, and failed to have the magic words that they could not force me to give up one right to exercise another. Completing their informal pauperous interrogatory or paying your extortion both provide evidence of the Pope's minor estate. So either way, it's a win-win-win scenario for the Pope's bail priests masquerading as judges. On 20th of November, 420 CV 00161. On 20th of November 2019, the U.S. Military Police unlawfully arrested me because I had a Republic of Texas plate on my private automobile, and because the Pope's bail priests in the federal courts, McBride and O'Connor, were so interested in their extortion to fabricate evidence for their minor estate. Therefore, I filed a lawsuit in Texas so-called court, and it became 236-313-994-19. And the Tarrant County District Attorney, liar, removed it into federal court because 420s and CV 00161, and it went to O'Connor, and he dismissed the case for failure to prosecute because I'd been out of work and failed to give evidence against myself and failed to pay the extortion to fabricate evidence of the minor estate, and failed to have the magic words that they could not force me to give up one right to exercise another. Completing your informal pauperous interrogatory or paying your extortion both provide evidence of the Pope's minor estate. So either way, it's a win-win-win scenario for the Pope's bail priests masquerading as judges. 424 CV 00881. County Montag thieves assaulted me with the Pope's minor estate in order to facilitate their extortion racket, and O'Connor got it. I filed a notice of objection in the District of Columbia extortion racket and paid the filing fee extortion, even though I'd been out of work since 2015, an issue in this case. But it failed to matter what I said or did because O'Connor, in conspiracy with Ray, prejudged the case from the beginning and assaulted me with the Pope's minor estate anyway. Normally, I accept your oath of office, but O'Connor had no intention of honoring his oath of office, as evidenced by the notice and demand I served on Reed O'Connor on or about 4th of September 2020, a true copy of which is attached here too, and that's why it's 129 pages. This is actually, so we'll look at that a little bit, but yeah, I've got it attached to it, and it's included here. All of which is incorporated herein by reference in its entirety. I filed an affidavit of life, document 113, to defeat the bail priest presumption that I'm dead or lost at sea, and a mandatory judicial notice of 12 presumptions, document 112, to defeat the bail priest presumptions. Your filing fee extortion scam is for District of Columbia only because your fake money, Federal Reserve notes, are for District of Columbia only under the Gold Reserve Act of 1934. And for the sole purpose of fabricating evidence of your Pope's minor estate, 31 CFR 363.6, because the minor estate falls under the Pope's Roman law of trusts and is a thing, and things have no rights. And the same is true for your electronic filing scam, and is also how you populate the prisons. He, the prisoner, has as a consequence of his crime not only forfeited his liberty, but all his personal rights except those which the law and his humanity affords him. He is for the time being a slave of the state, which is selling people into slavery, which is satanic. And if a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Israel, and maketh merchandise of him, or selleth him, then that thief shall die. Thou shalt put evil away from among you. 425 CV 01299, that's this case. In the current case, I was unlawfully arrested in Albuquerque, New Mexico for exercising constitutionally protected rights of conducting a common law court, seeking a redress of grievances, and exhausting administrative remedies by assaulting me with the Pope's minor estate as justification. I've already filed a notice of objection to the District of Columbia extortion racket and a notice of objection to the electronic filing scam, but they refuse to let the case proceed until I set off their extortion. Randy Kelton has taken an interest in my case and has instructed me to get a copy of O'Connor's civil trials and O'Connor's causes of action, and he's babysitting me through putting in the magic words into an amended war crimes complaint to be filed once the wrongdoers have been served and appeared. Randy told me that somebody he knew got out of completing the informa paupers interrogatory by informing the court that they cannot make him give up a right not to give evidence against himself in order to exercise his right to seek a redress of grievances, giving up one right to exercise another. Magic words. Conclusion. It fails to matter what I say or do, because you have prejudged this matter from the beginning, as evidenced by the fact that you're so busy fabricating evidence of the Pope's minor estate for your Vatican Jesuit handlers, because you intend to assault me with Pope's trust law to fabricate a contract and nullify your oath of office and justify selling me into slavery. You've demonstrated that you're not even remotely neutral or unbiased. This so-called court couldn't care less about justice or law, and the truth of the matter is that you encourage low-intelligence police, military police thugs to go out and assault people, kidnap people, falsely imprison people, because it makes so much business for your so-called court. And then you hypocrites use your busy docket as an excuse to deny justice to somebody like me seeking a remedy. The judge, the fake wannabe judges in this case, are the Pope's bail priests, busy selling the Pope's just us, sitting there and playing stupid, waiting for magic words. You're nothing but a gang of thieves operating an extortion racket for your Vatican Jesuit handlers as priests of Baal. You're retaliating against me for exercising constitutional rights to seek a redress of grievances. I have lots of first-hand knowledge of how you love to perjure your oath of office, and normally I say accept your oath of office, but you and I both know you have no intention of honoring your oath of office, so fuck your oath, you lying, perjuring, thieving, Satanist, motherfucking son of a bitch! No disrespect to dogs intended. You're of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he's a liar and the father of it. But the fearful and unbelieving and abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. You have absolutely no interest in protecting anybody's rights. If there's any place I'll be guaranteed to get my rights violated, it's in your so-called court. Your findings and conclusions have absolutely nothing to do with law or facts. I have nothing but contempt for you and your so-called court, and everything you do is brutum fulmen. Brutum fulmen's an empty noise, an empty threat, a judgment void upon its face, which is in legal effect no judgment of all, and by which no rights are divested, and from which none can be obtained, and neither binds nor bars anyone. I know how you want me dead, so you and your Vatican handlers can pillage the fake money in the Treasury Direct account under the Hague Convention concerning the international administration of the estates of deceased persons, concluded on 2 October 1973, but you're a coward. And to do it yourself, you intend that your screen for low intelligence, military police, hired thugs shed innocent blood for your Vatican handlers when I exercise my right to resist your unlawful arrest with lethal force if necessary, because you refuse to provide a remedy. I do not have a death wish, but I'm also not afraid of death because my conscience is clear. We were all here before the universe was created, and we'll all be here when it goes away, and I'll be there at the judgment seat of God demanding justice against you and your Satanist buddies. I know how you want me dead, so come on down, coward! Make my day! The sooner I'm out of this fucking hellhole, the better! You coward, lying, thieving, perjuring, Satanist motherfucking son of a bitch! No disrespected dogs intended. When I was 16 years old, I was given a patriarchal blessing, and I was told that it's not by chance that I passed through the waters of baptism because I had a work to do, and I would be given those things that I need when the need arises. And I've come to know that, among other things, I'm here to witness the testimony and testify to the blood, sins, and abominations of this generation, including your abominations. McBride is now dead, and good riddance. And I'm confident he's in hell where he belongs, together with his Satanist, satanic, Vatican, Jesuit buddies. I shake the dust of the earth and mop my feet against you, Jeffrey Curtin, Hal R. Ray, and Reed O'Connor, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day because each of you are cursed, and many of the curses listed already have already come upon this nation, and I commend you to the judgments of God, and you each belong in hell if you fail to repent. And that's the end of it. I kind of railed there. Anyways, signed and sealed in red ink under penalties of perjury. A natural living man living in a republic that fails to be dead or lost at sea, has never been dead or lost at sea, fails to be a surety or accommodation party for the Pope's minor estate, fails to be representing the Pope's minor estate, have never knowingly or willfully represented the Pope's minor estate, and do declare that I've scribed and read the foregoing facts in accordance with my best first-hand knowledge. I originally dated the 19th, and then I had to change the date because it was the court was closed on the 19th. Anyways, GlennWinningham, House of Fern, the living man that fails to be dead or lost at sea, has never been dead or lost at sea, fails to be a surety for the Pope's minor estate, fails to be representing the Pope's minor estate, have never knowingly or willfully represented the Pope's minor estate, with full responsibility for my actions, and then the certificate of service. And it goes through all the same stuff again. Anyways, and this is the letter I sent to Reed O'Connor, and Donald Trump got a copy. So when he gets a copy of this time, this was in 2020, it also went to William Barr, and so maybe he'll ask, why the heck didn't he get a copy of this? Or why did he not do something about this when it happened in 2020? I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think he's really trying to do a good job. You, Reed O'Connor, bought and paid for a clerk masquerading as a judge, or notice that I normally accept your oath of office, but you and I both know you have no intention of honoring your oath of office, as evidenced by the application to proceed in district court without prepaying fee or costs that you've loved to assault people with, that has an affidavit attached thereto incorporated in, and my affidavit of corporate denial, together with the pedigree charts that are attached thereto, is recorded with Pinal County Recorder at fee number 2013-032373, which is now public policy and the unrebutted truth, a true copy of which is attached hereto, all of which is incorporated herein by reference in its entirety, and that you denied, thereby evidencing you have no intention of honoring your oath. So fuck your oath, you lying, perjuring, treatless, Satanist motherfucking son of a bitch. No disrespected dogs intended. Anyways, there's this is page 14, and it goes to page 129, and so there's basically just a bunch of railing in here. I just rail on Reed O'Connor. $28. Oh. 41. I'm just curious to see how many pages this goes on for. Okay, there. 44. And then there's attachments to that go from page 57 of this document to page 129. Anyways, so I dumped on them. That's been filed now. I haven't heard a peep out of anybody. I guess we'll see what happens. I know that they have something in the court. I know they read this stuff. because they have something, and I think we'll see what happens when Donald Trump gets it. I think that there's somebody intercepting that stuff in Trump's office. That's why I put down attention corrupt courts department. I'm hoping that that'll get Trump's attention and he'll look at it.
I'm sure he will. That's saying it the way it is, eh? You're letting him know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I kind of, it's the truth. Every bit of it's the truth. And if there's any place you're going to get your rights violated, it's in these so-called courts.
That's right. Did you know at one time the magistrates were known as hearing officers? You know that, right? And could we refer to them as that today?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I know that. Yeah, it's all um, admiralty for sure. Yeah, even in Canada, in Alberta, if you go to a court hearing, it'll tell you it's in chambers, right? They'll say it's in chambers. Chambers in a judge can actually be anywhere. You can be in a restaurant and the judge is there, then you're in chambers, and you have to understand that. Um, anyways,
Yeah,
yeah,
Queen's Bench. Yeah, or Queen's Bench, right?
yeah,
Same
it's
thing.
King's Bench now.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're just yeah, there's just nothing but a bunch of thieves, and so I'm calling it out, and I can just about guarantee you there's going to be a bunch of changes on this, but whether anything happens in my particular case, I doubt that they'll put out that vexatious litigant because then that is going to be what goes to the Court of Appeals, and 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 to the Supreme Court if necessary. I've already filed a challenge to the constitutionality of the minor estate, and I filed my petition to the Supreme Court over challenging the constitutionality of the minor estate. And I think that they're interested in the case. And so, we'll see. I mailed that stuff to the Supreme Court out yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And then today I served this lawsuit. I sent it out by mail because we're having trouble, affecting service. So I just sent it out by certified mail, and so um, we'll see what happens. As soon as I get proof, I got to take it down and file it with the clerk, and I have to also. There's one of them that I didn't get, and then on top of that, there's one summons. There's one summons I need to go get from the clerk. And then when I filed my amended petition, let's find it here.
What are you attaching when you're taking that to the clerk?
What do you mean?
With the receipt of them receiving your dockets.
Well, when I for the proof of service, yeah, what I do, but to send it by certified mail, what I do is I send it with a return receipt. Okay, that means the green card back, which sometimes you don't get the green card back, but that's okay. So what I do is I print off the USPS website showing that it's been delivered, and my slip, my green slip, showing that who it was sent to, um, and that's what I use, and then the affidavit of service for the process server because I can't do it; it has to be someone else. So I hired a guy to take it to the post office and put it in the mail, and so he did that today, and so I have an affidavit of service from him, and I also have the I'll have the print off from the post office, as well as the green card back, if it gets back in time for me to file the affidavit of service. Um, sometimes those things take a long time coming back, or sometimes they don't come back at all. So at some point, I'll just take it in the way it is, and I'll have the website printed off. I print off the front one page of the website showing that it'll show that the certified mail number, which is on the affidavit of service, and on the green slip for the certified mail. So I'll have it on the guy that made the affidavit, and the green slip, and then hopefully the green cards too. If I have all of that, see, on the green cards there's a place somebody signs it. A lot of times it's just a stamp they put on there, received or something, but that's okay. That's all I need. And so I'll put that together with the affidavit, so it'll be basic 2-page proof of service, and take that to the clerk, and that's perfect. They'll accept that, no problem.
No resistance. That's good.
Yeah. So right now, I've got my amended complaint, and it has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 20. Oh, there's got to be, it's pretty hard to count because of the way I have them down here. There's probably about 50 or 60 people on here that I'm serving on the amended one, okay? Right now, I sent out 17 today. We got 2 of them served. Sent out 17 today. That's 19. We're going to have 3 more served here next week that are going to be served in Hayes County. So that's 20, 21, 22. And there's probably another 30, probably about another 30 that still have to be served. This is on the amended. Once I file this amended war crimes complaint, there'll be another 30, and actually there's going to be more. I did a public information request in New Mexico, and so I'm going to get all the names of the officers there, and that's probably going to add another 10 people. So yeah, so I'll add those in here. So there's going to be a bunch of people, and I can tell you that they know it's coming, and they know that they screwed up, and in the original war crimes complaint that I'm serving with, I'm asking for 300 million, and in this amended one, it's going to 12 billion because it's a malicious prosecution, and a malicious prosecution, you can't go after a government authority with punitive damages, but you can go after them for exemplary damages when it's a malicious prosecution. And the fact that they dismissed it so quick is proof that it's malicious. And so I'm telling them that's 4 times damages. Okay, so no, it's actually 3 times. But it's 4. You get your damages, your actual damages, and then 3 times more. So that's a total of 4 times damages. And so that's where it goes to 12 billion. It was 3 billion, and now it's 12, because it's called exemplary damages. And so that's what I'm going for in that. And so we'll see. I know they have a problem. They have a big problem, and now with this thing that I just filed in the federal court, they know they got a problem. Okay, and people are coming out all over the place about the judicial corruption. It's just coming out all over the place, and so they got big time problem, and the people aren't. They're populating the prisons. is don't get me going. It's just a bunch of crooks. So people are figuring this out, and it's not just me. It's just coming at them from every direction, and that actually works out pretty good because that means that I won't get much opposition. They'll probably want to settle the matter and make it go away, and which I'll take less than 12 bill. So, anyways, I'll settle for less than 12 bill. But there's a Rab versus Ocean City case from New Jersey in 2014 or 2016. So what happened is the case that people have been going by is the Trevisan case, where that guy got $23,000 for 23 minutes false imprisonment, which is basically about $1,000 a minute. And so that was in 1979. Okay, that's like 50 years ago. There's a Rab versus Ocean City from 2016 that they got $10,000 per minute. Okay, and so I was in their jail for 45 days, which comes to I think it's just under a bill. Okay, at $10,000 a minute, and then there's the time I was in the Canadian jail. And there's the time that when they unlawfully arrested me at the border pigs that cut on I-10, and so so that's how I got to the 12 bill, and so it's one bill just for the time that I spent in jail. In New Mexico this last 45 days. And so $10,000 a minute. So anyways, so we'll see. But so I'm preparing this amended war crimes complaint. Randy Kelton's going to help me babysit me through it. But I gotta get out these. I've been trying to get a bunch of stuff done, like this Supreme Court case, and I want to get that. If I can get that Supreme Court, if I can get a ruling on that Supreme Court case, then that'll eliminate a bunch of the arguments, or a bunch of the stuff that I'll be doing on this one, because that'll be, if I get a ruling saying that the minor estate is unconstitutional, then that's going to eliminate a lot of my arguments. It'll thin this one down. But there'll still be the stuff about Texas joining the union, and that's illegal and unconstitutional, and so there's a bunch of stuff, because this is involving the Republic of Texas. That's why I'm calling it a war crimes complaint. And I've been talking to Randy Kelton, and he doesn't have a problem with that. He's usually a pretty stickler about making these arguments something that you can argue, but I told him about it, and I talk to him quite often, and so he's going to help me formulate those arguments, and so so we'll see. We'll see. That's all I can say. So
yeah, he's proof that there are good justice men out there.
Well, that's for sure. Yeah, no, there is a lot of good ones. He does that rule of law radio, and I'm doing a lot of the same stuff that he does. So he likes what I do. I like what he does. He's strictly statutory, and so he said that he has actually been he's been in cases where he was called upon to be a judge, and he said that you got to give him something to rule on, and the judge might be sitting there wanting something to rule on, and you have to give him, and basically that's why he told me to get those two books. Those two books are sitting on my printer right now. They're about 2 inches thick, and it's fine print and thin pages. Each book, there's two of them, and so I got to go through those books. And one of them talks about causes of action, and what I can use as justification for a cause of action. And so the war crimes, I told Randy, it's 18 USC 2441, 2440 and 2441. And so and I said that it talks in there about grave circumstances, and they're assaulting me. They want me to exercise my right to resist their unlawful arrest, so they have an excuse to murder me. That's grave. And so he said he can deal with that. He said that he can use some words and deal with that. And so I told him that's why it's a war crimes complaint, because it's a felony under Title 18 United States Code, and it's against the Republic of Texas. So the last time I talked to him, he said that he thought that Texas was prize in a war. And since then, I've been thinking about it and looking into it. And so when I see him again, I'm going to tell him that the Civil War was an insurgency. That's why they called them rebels. And Lincoln invoked the Insurrection Act. And so there was no prize. And the Texas, once Texas joined the Union, the question is whether Texas actually joined the Union or not, and so that's the question. So we'll see. So that's a question that needs to be answered, and so that's a legitimate question, because the courts are the ones that answer those kinds of questions, whether Texas actually joined the Union. Because there's a lot of they're saying that Texas joined under the Articles of Confederation. Well, the Texas joined in 1845. And while I think that the Articles of Confederation are perfectly valid and I like them, the Constitution was also in place. And it says in the Constitution that you can't erect a state within a state. And yet that House Joint Resolution that they used to bring Texas into the Union says that we're going to erect a state of Texas in the territory that belongs to the Republic of Texas. So that's saying that we're going to erect a state within a state. And so, anyways, so we'll see. That's all I can say. There's arguments for both sides of that one. So we'll see what the judges say.
Case law? Is there case law?
Well, there's actually recent case law that talks about the Republic of Texas as if it still exists. There's a recent case from like the 50s. There's Supreme Court cases, Texas Supreme Court cases, talking about the Republic of Texas like it exists. There's a case from the 50s where Texas said that we joined the Union on an equal footing with the original states. Okay, well, they're talking about the Articles of Confederation there, and so they can. That's why you don't notice this being in Canada, but the law in Texas is way different than it is in any other state. The federal government operates way different in Texas than it does in any other state, because Texas is on an equal footing with the original states. That means the original 13 states. And so it's making it an original 14 states. So the end result is that and that talks about the Articles of Confederation. In the Articles of Confederation, in Article 9, it says that Canada can join anytime they want. And so I think that that's where Trump is going with it, because it's interesting to note that when the Articles of Confederation were written, Canada didn't exist. Okay, there was an Upper Canada and there was a Lower Canada. Upper Canada was Ontario. Lower Canada was Quebec. And there was also a Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia. And so, but there was no Canada. And so it's almost like it was planned. You know what I mean? Anyways, it says in Article 4, Article 9 of the Articles of Confederation, it says Canada can join anytime they want, but any other colony can only join upon agreement by 9 states. Okay, well, gee, that sounds like a House joint resolution. And so that's how they brought Texas in with the House joint resolution. Anyways, um, it's amazing how that's exactly what went on. And damn, there's nobody on my live stream. I can't believe it. It's because the weather's so bad, I guess. I don't know. That's unusual. That's really unusual. This is on YouTube. I've got 38 views. I got no chats, and it says 2 concurrent viewers. 38 views, and it's been going on for almost an hour. Wow. Well, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
there's some serious weather issues going on. People aren't used to this cold, frigid weathers, right? So they're probably out trying to keep warm.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So, anyways, I guess that's about all I've got. Lori, you wanted to end off with some questions or something like that?
Yeah, well, how do you manage to serve 60 different, people involved? That's that's involved. How are you going to do that?
Well, it's actually quite easy. I just use certified mail.
That's yeah, we have all their addresses, and but you're notifying them at different times that are relevant to the case also, or I thought, why is it that they're not served all at the same time that you're serving? Like, you sent it in Monday, right? So why is it that you're able to not serve everybody on Monday?
So, Monday was a holiday, first of all. Monday was a
Oh, right,
holiday.
yeah.
Martin Luther King's birthday. So I filed this thing on Tuesday, the 20th. If you look, it'll say the 20th. Okay, that's what I did on Tuesday. Um, Today's Friday. Yesterday, Thursday, I mailed my Supreme Court petition for writ of certiorari. And in the Supreme Court, when you're in the Supreme Court, at that point of the case, there's just a bunch of lawyers that you have to serve it to. Okay, and they have offices, and they've let you know what their office is and the address and how to contact them. And so I sent it to the lawyers at their office. Um, but this is the lawsuit, and I served the lawsuit today. Okay, and I served it on 17 different people, and I basically made copies, 17 different copies of lawsuits. I got the clerk to give me summonses. I attached the summonses to the lawsuit. I put them in an envelope. I put the addresses that I have. Okay, now so they're government officials is who they are. Rothrock's the FBI special agent in charge of the FBI, right? He's got an office, and so you serve them at their office. And so there's judges, there's lawyers, there's FBI agents, there's police officers. They all have offices, and so you serve them at their work. Um,
They
I've got.
can't refuse. They can't refuse.
Well, that's a felony if they do. That's called avoiding service of process. That's a felony. So they can refuse, but it won't have very good consequences for them. So some of them will play little games, like there's judges that are hard to serve. That's why I don't even I've had process servers try and serve judges, and they just give you a hard time. The clerk won't accept service. There's all sorts of the clerks won't accept service. You can't serve it. You can't take it to the bailiff in the courtroom. That he won't accept service. So why bother? You just put it in the certified mail envelope, and you have tracking, and he got it, and so that's why bother with all that hassle. And so I just get the post office to serve it. But I can't serve it myself, okay? It can't have my name on it. I have to hire someone else to put it in the envelope and take it to the post office, pay the postal clerk, and then I pay them, so their postal expenses are covered, and you put some money in their pocket for taking it to the post office. Um, the Yeah, it's too much hassle, to try and you can hire process service, like you can get the county sheriff, you can hire them to serve process. They charge, I think, about $80 for each one. And if you use the certified mail, it's a lot less expensive actually. And so that's why I use the certified mail. But I have used constables, I've used county sheriffs. Um, there's a lot of people you can use, but it's a lot of hassle. Um, and so there's I try and use friends because then it's kind of like keeping the money in the family. But again, the bottom line is that they don't make it easy. So I just certified mail works. Okay, it'll work, and the clerk actually says you can use certified mail, and so great. I'll just use certified mail, and it works. Um,
And
any
it's honored. It's honored. That's a
Of course, they have no choice. The clerk's going to put it down as service completed, and um, they'll if you serve them, you can serve them at their work. You serve people at their work all the time.
well. That's usually where the violation has occurred in the first place, right?
Sorry.
That can be where the violation occurred in the first place.
Oh, that's true. And what they'll do though is they'll get a lawyer. Usually, it's like the district attorney or somebody like that. And if I sue them in their private capacity only, then a lot of times the district attorney will try and defend them, and so um, sometimes I sue them in their private capacity and their official capacity. In this case, I'm suing them in both capacities, so that lets the district attorney defend them, and that's okay. Um, I don't think they have a leg to stand on. There's court cases to talk about that when you dispute the arrest, the presumption is that the arrest was unlawful, and then on top of that, um, when the warrant didn't have a court seal on it, then it was not authentic under the Authentications Act. That's a major problem for them. It was unlawful, and then everything that proceeded from that was unlawful, and so that's, what do they call that? Fruit from a
Poisonous tree.
yeah, exactly. And so so that's why, but then I have all of the stuff, this evidence about these harassment and stuff that went on for me for decades, okay, over Republic of Texas, the war crimes complaints. And I've got their intelligence bulletin, and it talks about the Republic of Texas and all the shit that went on over the years. They got a problem. They have a big problem, and so I know that I told the Colleyville police that I'm a protected person. I'm a senator with the Republic of Texas, and I'm a protected person under international law. And they flat out told me. They said I had a cover on my license plate. They said your cover makes it hard to see your plate. They said if you take your cover off, we'll be able to see it, and we won't stop you anymore. So they admitted that I had a valid argument, and so
Glenn, why didn't you throw a wrench at them and tell them to do it if they wanted it? Why didn't you tell them they could do it if they wanted it so bad?
sorry.
Why didn't you tell them to take the plate off if they wanted it so bad?
Well, it's not the plate, it's the cover. There's a plastic cover on it. It was kind of dirty. Anyways, I took it off. They can't make me take it off, but they basically harassed me until I did. But now I never get stopped by the Colleyville police or any of the other cops around here. They never mess with me. But so, anyways, um, and what happened actually is someone else was driving my car, and they told them that this cover was on the plate, and if we took it off, they wouldn't stop them anymore. They thought that it was me, and it wasn't. And they told them that if we take that cover off, they won't stop me anymore. So, you know, I told them, take it off.
So it was just like a plastic casing covering it or something that.
It was a clear plastic cover, but it was kind of dirty.
Well, mobile enforcement officers, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, did you have some questions you wanted to ask?
Yeah, well, there's part of a writer segment that I used to be a part of. They would end their talks with, of course, question Q&As, and then if they didn't go on too long, they would have like a random question period where they would ask, the same questions to whoever was the guest speaker that week. And the questions were, random as well as important, to give the listeners perspectives on, just who was speaking, right? And, it's nothing serious or anything. It's if, you don't feel comfortable in answering something, but I thought it would be interesting. Somebody might have a question about something that they know from a town that you visited or something. And wouldn't that be neat to have an avenue or an arena to house something like that? It brings just more networking to the situation and kind of opens it all up. But yeah, I had a few questions to start, but I wanted to see if anybody had any questions about what Glenn presented tonight so that we can let him move on and keep warm from the storm that's supposed to be coming.
Okay, so anyway, Glenn, when you do certified mail, by good measure, do the form 3817 as the second witness. The green card's one witness, and the certificate of mailing at the time of mailing, that's the second witness. It's fatal in insurance. There's insurance cases that lost because the insurance company didn't have a certificate of mailing along with their green card, so it's insufficient showing proof of service via the mail.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Thank you very much.
I'll drop it in the room. There's two different cases. One was an insurance case, and they said that it's the whole statutory reason for the certificate of mailing. And the other one was another longer case, but they both go to the same point that without that certificate of mailing, it's insufficient as proof of service, because the green card you get back, that's one witness. And at the time of mailing, when the postal clerk actually witnesses the mailing address and gives you that little PVI, if it's like $1.45 or something like that for the certificate of mailing, that's the second witness by the clerk, and the other witness is by the other party receiving it. So you have two witnesses show proof of service.
Okay, well, that's good.
I'll drop it in.
I got
I'll drop it in.
3817. Are you going to put a blank 3817 in there, or do I need to still get that from the post office?
You can print it. I mean, well, the clerk at the post office witnesses the 3817, or the firm mailing book of accountable mail, the 3877, whatever you're doing. Either one, they're both certificates of mailing. So the postal clerk actually puts a PVI, when that little printout sticker with a round stamp at the post office at the time of mailing, confirming what mailing address you were mailing to. And the green card, of course, comes back from whoever signs for it. But the problem is, on the green card on the back, they're supposed to put the person's printed name on the back of the green card.
They never do that.
And if the person, well, and in that case, they're falsifying a government record, because they're not putting their full legal name. Or if they put no name or no full legal name, they're falsifying a government document.
Well, a lot of times I see them just have a receive stamp on it.
Again, so whoever the recipient was violated it's falsified a government document. And you could probably go through the post office and.
That's a great point to add to the lawsuit.
Because they're hiding their identity. Either they don't have a name, or they use a middle initial name, which is not part of the legal name under 6 CFR 37.3 under the Real ID Act. So something else to hem them up for, falsifying records, using unregistered fictitious business name, yada yada yada. But I'll drop the two cases into your Glenn room for the 3817.
Yeah. Thank you.
I thought it was interesting the way you brought up that it's a felony if they refuse service.
Yeah.
That's going to help me a lot. Thank you. So, does anybody else have any questions about Glenn's case he presented tonight? Or any objections to my 5 questions idea? I asked Glenn if he had an objection, and he said no earlier. But if anybody else is in the chat that has a very strong objection, also, we can set it aside. But come on, give a little. It's just opening up networking. That's all it's doing. And it's not being too nosy. It's like things like, what were the 3 things it would take? Oh, is there anybody else wanting to say anything?
Oh, yeah. Hey, sorry. Yeah, Corey here. Hey, I was wondering, I was trying to look up where is it a felony? How is it a felony to refuse service?
Well, first of all,
on that?
They can't refuse it. A good process server will hunt it down and throw it at them and say, you've been served. And the fact that the process server says that he gave it to them, then they've been served. But what they do is they hide. Okay, they play little games, and that could be argued that it's obstructing justice. But also, in Texas, there's a crime called official oppression, which is not a felony. It's a Class A misdemeanor called official oppression, and you can charge them with that. But it could be called obstructing justice. What they do is they make it so you can't see, because judges especially, in courthouses, they have special entrances and exits. They don't go in and out of the courthouse where everybody else goes. They have their own private entrance, and then they usually have their residence. You can actually, there's a if you get a regular process server like a county sheriff, they have access to a database so they can go to a judge's private residence and serve him at his home. And so they can't stop that. It is a felony, or it's a crime for sure. Class A misdemeanor in Texas is a crime, and so they really can't avoid it. But it could be called obstructing justice too. So they can't refuse it. They can't under any circumstances refuse it. All you do is you throw it at them and say you've been served, and you make an affidavit saying I served them personally on this day at this location, and they've been served, and they better hire an attorney. So they can't. you got someone that says they served it on them, and they served it. That's all there is to it. It's in that case, it's so what they do is avoid you. Okay, they play little games so that you can't find them, and for regular people like me and you, it makes it very difficult to find them. That's why I use the post office, or you can use a process server. And like if there was someone that I was having trouble serving the FBI special agent in charge, and they wouldn't. His office is like a military fortress, okay, and so the security won't let you in there, and they won't accept service. And so I got the constables. I took it to the constable. I figured the constable would be able to serve it. That's a Texas officer, and the constable said they wouldn't let him serve it. And so I tried a lot of things, and finally I just did. There's under the statutes, okay, for registered mail. Actually, under the statutes, it says that registered mail can be used, and for legal services, it's presumed to have been served, and so they cannot deny it then, okay. But what they do is they avoid you, okay, and that's actually a crime, but that's hard to prove. And so that's why I use the registered mail, because or certified mail. The clerk actually told me that I could use certified mail. So certified mail is a lot less expensive. Registered mail is kept under lock and key, and so it's really hard to avoid. But certified mail is a little bit more relaxed, and it's less expensive. But the clerk told me I could use certified mail. So hey, if the clerk says to use it, then that's what I'm going to use. It's a lot less expensive. But yeah. By the way, I was going to say this notice of objection to the fake wannabe judge and his findings and conclusions. What's going to happen is that magistrate judge is going to disappear, and any future filings from the judges will be from the judge himself, from Pittman. There will be nothing else from that magistrate judge. I'll bet you I don't see another word from him.
How long has Pittman been sitting in that zone?
I don't know. He's a fairly recent addition. There's a requirement under their federal codes that the judge has to live in the district. Now, there's a Judge Pittman in Austin, and so I'm not sure how that works, whether it's the same judge or a different Pittman, or maybe he moved to Fort Worth or something. I don't know. But he has to live in the district that he's assigned. And so, but it's a Judge Pittman, and he's fairly recent. That they didn't used to have a Judge Pittman.
Okay, well, you'll let us know if you hear anything back by next week.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I can go through. See, I've made some changes to my Supreme Court petition, and so once I know it gets accepted, they'll send me a docketing letter. And once I know it gets accepted, then we can go through my Supreme Court petition, and see so we can see exactly what I say in that Supreme Court petition. They'll send me a docketing letter, and the docketing letter is just a letter saying this case is assigned this number, and send the letter to all the respondents, and then they have to go out and spend $500,000 on a lawyer. And so I'm looking forward to getting that letter for that Montague County thing, because make them spend a hell of a pile of money, make it so damn expensive for them that they'll think twice about screwing with me again next time. Anyways, don't get me going. You're going to get me going.
I won't. Yeah. Today. I did that a couple of weeks ago already. No. Okay. So, no objections against the questions. So, the first one. You're on an island now. Stranded. Well, no. You went out fishing. So you have fishing gear already. What are the next 3 items you're going to bring from home? Or you've brought from home that's going to help you while you get rescued?
What items do I have already?
You have your fishing gear already. But you've been stranded on an island due to whatever, crazy weather. So now you're waiting for rescue, but you've brought 3 items from home. What are they?
You asking me that?
Yeah. That's part of the 5 questions.
I have no idea. I mean, if I'm stranded on an island and I brought 3 items, hopefully one of them's my girlfriend or something like that. You know what I mean?
But you're going to say a radio. But that's good. That's good.
A radio? A radio would be good, but it's not like when you get stranded on an island, you don't plan that kind of stuff. So I mean, the idea of having a radio with you. Now, nowadays nobody has a radio. They have a cell phone, and you're not going to be receiving cell phone signal on an island.
Or have batteries too, right?
Exactly. So you're saying a radio on batteries?
Well, like an old style radio a transistor radio?
Of course I
Like a
know.
handheld radio that we used to have in old, not in old boats, but in boats that you would tune into, like a stereo.
I've got a shortwave radio. Actually, I have a hand crank solar operated radio in storage that I would for emergency purposes. But it's in storage. There's all my junk's in storage. It's got a hand crank so you can crank up the battery yourself, or it's got a solar panel so you can put it out in the sun and it'll generate electricity to power it. And it's AM FM. I'm not sure if there's any shortwave frequencies on it.
Yeah, you got to put that in the back of your car. That's awesome.
It's in storage.
No, that'd be real handy to have on a fishing or camping trip, I think. So what else would you have with you on that fishing trip? You got 2 more things to bring.
My girlfriend. You want to get laid?
Oh, that's right. Okay. And then a radio. Would you go for the radio too?
We get laid once in a while.
What about a cooler filled with food? Or some kind of food?
That's another thing that, you don't normally have with you. But I do have a 72-hour kit. I again, those are in storage. But I have 72-hour kits. It's got a little bit of water, a little bit of some stuff that you need for a poncho, so that it's a 72-hour kit, survival stuff for 72 hours. It's got some matches, it's got some fire starters, it's got all sorts of neat little things like that in them that I've
Bear
always.
spray?
Sorry?
Bear spray?
I'm not sure about bear spray.
That's cool. There you go. Okay, let me go grab the next question. I know I wrote them out. I'll go get it. It's on my other phone. I have to turn it on. I think we have 2 more easy and two more serious. So we won't keep you very much longer. Let's see.
4 more questions?
Well, it's 5 total. Let's see. Okay. Here it is. What's your idea of extravagance? Money no option.
Extravagant?
Extravagance.
Well, I've always wanted to. Um, they have these corporate jet programs where you can lease a corporate jet. You pay a monthly fee, and they'll fly you. It'll be a different airplane every time, but whenever you need to go somewhere, you just make an appointment, and they'll fly you wherever you want to go. And it's cheaper than actually owning the corporate jet. It's basically time sharing the corporate jet, and I've always wanted to do that actually, and then I could fly over to Germany or wherever I want to go, and come and go when I please. Yeah, and I'm a aerospace engineer. That I've always wanted to do. Actually, I've actually get emails from what's the name of that company? Because I'm actually planning on doing that. Quite frankly, when I get my 12 bill, I guarantee you that's what I'm gonna do. What's the name of that company? I'm just looking in my Brooks Stevens private jet flights with XO. There it is, right there. Vista Global. Uh, I get Vista Global. It's an air charter broker, and what you do is you pay you get it's like time sharing corporate jets, and that's one way of doing it. And so you can go places. Um, um, it's more expensive than traveling with the airlines, but it's a lot less hassle. You don't have people groping you when you get on the airplane. I mean, it's a lot less hassle, and it's a lot more comfortable. It's way better.
Well, that sounds like a good extravagance, for sure. Something I would definitely. I've been on I think one small plane, and one plane under 60 passengers, and it seemed really small too, but it's different than being in a passenger plane, isn't it? For sure.
Well, commercial is like a cattle car, and I'm done with them.
Um,
They grope you, they harass you. When I was in Albuquerque in the jail, they went and flew me back to Texas on a commercial airline, and it took them it took them like 4 hours to get me through security because I don't have real ID. And it just reminded me, just got it all refreshed in my memory why I hate flying anymore. And so, I don't miss flying at all. And uh, I just, that's why I drive everywhere. And if I flew anywhere, what I'd want to do is I was actually thinking about buying myself a King Air. A King Air is pressurized. You can go up to like
mhm.
25,000 feet. They go like about 400 miles an hour. They don't go 500 miles an hour like the jets. They don't go quite as high as the jets, but you can get from here to Chicago in about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So you can cover some pretty serious territory, and you can stand up inside, you can walk around, and it's your own airplane.
Yeah, that would be the way to avoid catalyzed airlines for certain, and those horrible X-ray screens, for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
my days of flying commercial, I think, are done. It'd take a lot to get me to fly commercial.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I feel the same way. So, next question, number 3. Do you prefer fiction or non-fiction?
You know, I don't have a lot of time for fiction. I don't have, I mean, most of my time I spend reading stuff about the law, quite frankly. I hate to admit that, but you know, that's seems to be where I'm forced to focus my efforts. And so, um, yeah, that's where I spend most of my time. Although some science stuff, there's some science stuff, the free energy, alternative energies, there's that stuff I'm really interested in. I just have need time to read it, you know. But and
Yeah, so many, not enough days or hours in the day, right?
well, and yeah, no joke. It's you know, they keep your shoulder to the grindstone with all these lawsuits and crap, you know, and their denials of due process. You know, they're just nothing but a bunch of thieves. You know, don't get me going.
Okay, I think this is the last question. Okay, what's your most favorite holiday that
Well,
you've ever had or
that I ever
expecting
had
to have? Sure, whatever.
my vacation. Is that what you're talking about?
No, holiday, well, yeah, whichever. Holiday, vacation, you describe it, it's subjective, it's your answer.
Um, you know, just spending time with family is always nice. You know, just to get away from it all and forget about things for a while. Spending
Mm-hmm.
times with family.
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh,
and,
that's
and
nice.
there's not any particular time. I don't have any particular one that I can think of that I like the most. Just being able to spend time with family and forget about things and relax and savor the time.
Yeah, good answer. That's a great way to relax, isn't it? And that's what everybody needs more time of, just not on, well, we need to make more time to do that. But I appreciate you doing that. That was kind of fun, hey? Wasn't too invasive. Was that too nosy or what?
It's way big too nosy.
Oh my goodness.
Nah, no
Hey, well,
big
you
deal.
have to forgive me.
No,
You were half
it
an
was
hour late.
fine. It was fine.
You,
Um, the you know, I think we need to remind ourselves about what's really important in life, and in my opinion, there's nothing more important than family.
mm-hmm, exactly. And being good to ourselves and being healthy and taking care of ourselves and every part of our health the best we can.
I agree.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming, Lynn. I appreciate it. Thanks for being a good sport about the 5 questions. I appreciate it. And are you going to come next week?
Oh yeah,
We didn't scare you off. Okay, good, good. I'll be here.
we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Glenn. Take care.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye now.